Remember back in the shortened 2013 season when the Montreal Canadiens looked like they had their future set, when it seemed like Alex Galchenyuk was poised to be a big part of the franchise for the next 15 years? Yeah. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Remember when Galchenyuk looked like a surefire star in the making? Pepperidge Farm remembers that too. So what happened? How does a player who once had the hockey world at his fingertips end up bouncing from team to team struggling to find a home? How does a young cornerstone of one of the most storied franchises in sports go from being a mainstay in Montreal to, well, this?
You drop me off right here and you let me go and you're hear from me ever again or you'll let it go.
Alright, what happens if we don't?
What if you will?
What if we don't let you
drop
go
me
right
off
now?
right and all your families will live forever.
Okay, what happens if
all
we...
your lives, all your parents will die.
What went wrong, boys? Let's dive in. Alex Galchenyuk was nothing short of a sensation during his junior days with the Sarnia Sting in the Ontario Hockey League. As a rookie for the Sting in the 2011 season, he put up an impressive 83 points in just 68 games, showing the kind of talent that had scouts and fans buzzing. An offensive force, Galchenyuk was known for his natural scoring touch, lightning-quick hands, and exceptional puck control. He had a knack for weaving through defenders in tight spaces, especially along the wing, making him a constant threat in the offensive zone. And when it came to skating, well, that's another level entirely. Chucky was a powerful, dynamic skater with elite edge work, allowing him to glide effortlessly through defenses and create scoring chances with ease. Unfortunately, in his draft year, fate dealt him a tough hand. A severe knee injury would limit him to just 2 regular season games with Sarnia. However, he showed resilience in the OHL playoffs, tallying 4 points in 6 games. That injury may very well have cost him the chance to be selected first overall in what was widely considered a weak draft class, one that would later be infamously known as the 2012 Nail Yakupov draft. The true standouts from that class wouldn't be taken until much later. Goaltenders Andrei Vasilevsky and Connor Hellebuck, selected 19th overall and all the way down in the 5th round respectively. Nevertheless, the Montreal Canadiens saw his potential and would select Galchenyuk 3rd overall in 2012. He wasted no time making an impact, suiting up for 48 games in the lockout-shortened season that followed. As an 18-year-old, he would put up an impressive 27 points, becoming the youngest player to play a full season with the team since 1984. Galchenyuk also put up a very respectable performance in the playoffs, tallying 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points in 5 games. And at that point, it seemed as though Montreal may very well have landed the best player in the draft. Fast forward to the 2014 season, Alex continued to show promise. Despite missing 6 weeks with a broken hand, he still managed to produce, finishing the year with 31 points in 65 games. And while his playoff time was limited, he made his presence felt in a big way, scoring a crucial overtime winner in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Rangers to breathe new life into Montreal's playoff run.
And back along. Plekanec holds and shot one, jammed it, they score! An overtime winning goal for Alex Galchenyuk, and the Canadiens are back in the series.
Though the Canadiens ultimately fell short in 6 games, it looked like Alex had a knack for stepping up in big moments. And the 2015 season only added to the excitement. Galchenyuk hit the 20-goal mark for the first time, finishing with 20 goals and 26 assists for 46 points in 80 games. With each passing season, his goal totals and overall production kept trending upward. At that point, it looked like this young star was on the verge of becoming the guy in Montreal. In the 2015 playoffs, he notched 4 points in 12 games, but despite his efforts, Montreal's run came to an unfortunate end in the 2nd round at the hands of the Tampa Bay Lightning. That offseason, the Montreal Canadiens made a really smart move, locking up their young star on a team-friendly 2-year deal worth $5.6 million, carrying an annual cap hit of just $2.8 million. And then came 2016, when Chucky proved he really was up next.
Power play of the night for the Canadiens. They're 1 for 3. Subban now puts it down the one-timer.
Pacioretty's there, handing it off for Galchenyuk with speed. Galchenyuk breaking into the net, scores! Galchenyuk slow in, waits out Schneider and scores. What a move! Russell now without a stick, so this is a bit of an advantage. Galchenyuk scores!
In his first full 82-game season, Alex Galchenyuk showcased his pure goal-scoring ability at the NHL level. He racked up his first 30-goal campaign while adding 26 assists for a solid 56-point season. Another big step forward in his steadily rising trajectory. And though the Montreal Canadiens missed the playoffs in 2016, Habs fans had every reason to be excited about Galchenyuk. With Galchenyuk's growth year after year, the prospect of him becoming a 40-goal, 70-point guy seemed well within reach. But the momentum stalled in the 2017 season through no fault of Galchenyuk's. Injuries limited him to just 61 games, yet when he was on the ice, he remained productive, tallying 17 goals and 22 assists for 44 points, along with 3 assists in 6 playoff games. As his 2-year contract neared its end, Montreal faced a crucial decision. So that offseason, Montreal would re-sign Galchenyuk to a 3-year extension worth $14.7 million. However, the 2018 season would unexpectedly be his last in a Canadian sweater. He remained an offensive threat, posting 19 goals and 51 points over a full 82-game schedule, but his time in Montreal was coming to an end. As the Montreal Canadiens missed the playoffs for the second straight year, it seemed they had a growing suspicion. Perhaps Alex Galchenyuk had already hit his ceiling. Sure, he was a reliable 50-point, 25-goal scorer, but was that all he would ever be? Montreal seemed to think that might just be the case. And in a move that raised eyebrows at the time, they made a bold decision to part ways with him. But behind the scenes, whispers began to spread about the real reason the Canadiens were ready to move on. In 2016, an incident at Galchenyuk's apartment made headlines. His girlfriend was arrested following a domestic dispute. Though Alex never filed a complaint and the case never moved forward, the situation raised concerns. Then in 2017, former Habs coach Mario Tremblay had claimed that Galchenyuk had been to rehab twice throughout his time with Montreal. Neither Galchenyuk nor the Canadiens ever confirmed or denied those claims, leaving fans to speculate. And then, on June 15, 2018, Montreal made their move, sending Galchenyuk to the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for Max Domi. Alex had played 418 games with Montreal, tallying a solid 108 goals and 255 points. He was still young, and many believed that the trade could end up being a steal for Arizona. After all, he hadn't even played 500 games yet. He still had plenty of time to turn into that 40-goal, 70-point player. But as history would show, things didn't quite unfold that way. Now in 2019, with a fresh start and a new team in Arizona, Alex Galchenyuk put together a solid first season in the desert. He tallied 19 goals, 22 assists, and 41 points over 72 games. Despite a strong start with his new team, his career was about to take a sharp turn. Galchenyuk was soon on the move again, this time as a part of the trade that sent Phil Kessel to Arizona. His next destination? The Pittsburgh Penguins. On paper, this seemed like a perfect fit. A skilled forward joining a team with a championship pedigree, playing alongside the likes of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Jake Gensel, and Brian Rust. It felt like an ideal scenario for a young goal scorer still trying to unlock his full potential. I remember thinking at the time of this trade that Pittsburgh could help him rediscover that 30-goal upside he'd once flashed. I could not have been more wrong. Instead of thriving, Galchenyuk's time in Pittsburgh marked the first real stretch of his career where he struggled to find his game. The consistency he had shown earlier in his career began to fade, and his role as an NHL journeyman was only just beginning. Things didn't get off to an ideal start for Alex, as a lower body injury sidelined him just 3 games into the season, and when he did return, his time in Pittsburgh was underwhelming, recording just 5 goals and 12 assists for 17 points over 45 games. Sensing that this just wasn't the right fit, the Penguins made the decision to move on, trading Alex for the 3rd time in just 2 seasons. On February 10th, 2020, he was dealt to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for Jason Zucker. At first, things seemed promising in Minnesota. Alex tallied 7 points in 14 games before the season was abruptly cut short due to the pandemic. But when the NHL returned for the playoffs, his struggles continued. In 4 postseason games, he failed to record a single point as the Wild were defeated by the Vancouver Canucks. In total, he finished the 2020 season with 24 points in 59 games. And with his contract extension in Montreal having expired, he entered free agency, now in search of a 1-year, prove-it type deal. This was a chance to bounce back, to show the hockey world that he still belonged at the NHL level. That opportunity came on October 28, 2020, when the Ottawa Senators signed him to a 1-year contract. At 27 now, time was no longer on Galchenyuk's side. This was a pivotal season, one that could determine the fate of his NHL career. Well, as much as I'd like to tell you, things turned around for Alex. The reality was, his best days were behind him. During his time with the Ottawa Senators, Galchenyuk struggled with injuries, leaving him as little more than a healthy scratch for most of his time in the nation's capital, managing just 1 goal in 8 games. And as I'm sure many of you have already predicted, the inevitable happened. Galchenyuk was traded once again. This time, he found himself with the Carolina Hurricanes, and immediately upon his arrival, the former 3rd overall pick was placed on waivers, with Carolina planning to use him in the AHL. But that wasn't to be. Just 2 days later, he was traded again, this time to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And so, the journey continued. After the trade, he was sent down to the AHL to join the Marlies, where he showed flashes of his former self, scoring 8 points in just 6 games. His strong play caught the attention of the Leafs, who recalled him to the NHL. There, Alex made his mark, recording 4 goals and 8 assists for 12 points in 26 games, as well as 4 points in 6 playoff games. It was a promising stretch for Galchenyuk, but unfortunately, this is how his time with the Leafs would be remembered. Not for his individual achievements, but for his role in helping his former team, the Montreal Canadiens, mount a now classic comeback, overcoming a 3-1 series deficit to win in 7 games.
Leafs played by the defenseman, broken up. Cole Caulfield in alone here, along with Suzuki, and off the pin.
In 2021, Alex Galchenyuk proved he could still play at the highest level, showing that there was a place for him in the NHL. He would go on to sign a professional tryout with the Arizona Coyotes for the 2022 season. Eventually making the team, he would officially sign on for the season. Over the course of 60 games back with the Coyotes, Galchenyuk showcased exactly what we had come to expect from the talented yet streaky player he had become. He finished the season with 6 goals and 15 assists, totaling 21 points, reflective of his up-and-down style of play. As a free agent once again, Galchenyuk struggled to garner much interest heading into the 2023 season. Despite his previous experience, the phone didn't ring much during the offseason, and he found himself unsigned through the summer. But just when it seemed like his NHL career might be in jeopardy, an opportunity arose. On September 20th, 2022, Galchenyuk signed another PTO. This time with the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Colorado Avalanche. The hope was that he could maybe fit into a bottom 6 role on the team, but fate had other plans. As Galchenyuk was playing in Colorado's first preseason game, an injury would sideline him. And with that, the Avs made the decision to release him immediately after the game. However, with a 6-week recovery ahead and his NHL return looking increasingly unlikely, the Avalanche, already grappling with their own injury troubles, would decide to take another chance on Galchenyuk. On November 10th, 2022, Galchenyuk signed with their AHL affiliate, the Colorado Eagles, looking to prove himself once again, and prove himself he did. Galchenyuk came out strong with the Eagles, and his performance didn't go unnoticed. His play earned him a 2-way deal with the Avalanche at the league minimum, and he was called back up to the NHL. Despite the opportunity, he went scoreless in 11 games and was sent down shortly after. But in the AHL, it was a different story. Galchenyuk was on fire. He finished the season with an impressive 16 goals and 42 points in 42 games, averaging a point per game. His success in the minors showed flashes of the player everyone once believed he could be in the NHL. Though the only difference now was he was doing it at a lower level. After the 2023 season ended, most people expected Galchenyuk to take his talents overseas, likely heading to a KHL or SHL. It had become clear that while he was still a solid pro, his days as a significant NHL contributor were likely behind him. The days of him being an elite goal scorer many once envisioned were long gone. But then, just before the offseason kicked off, Galchenyuk was traded once again. His rights were sent to the Nashville Predators in exchange for Ryan Johansson's rights. At this point, you have to wonder if teams were just trolling him. As expected, Nashville wouldn't sign him, and he was once again a free agent. But on July 1st, 2023, he would sign a one-year, $775,000 contract with the Arizona Coyotes, marking his third stint with the team. The hope? That third time might just be the charm. And honestly, it made sense. Galchenyuk had been putting up point-per-game numbers in the minors, and with Arizona's roster resembling something close to an AHL team, there was a sliver of optimism. Maybe, just maybe, he could carve out a role as a solid bottom six player for the Coyotes. 8 days. That's all it took for Alex Galchenyuk's career in the NHL to come to an end. On July 9th, 2023, Alex found himself arrested in Scottsdale on a series of charges: private property hit and run, disorderly conduct, failure to obey, resisting arrest, and threatening and intimidating behavior. The day had begun innocently enough. Alex had been out drinking with his father, former Russian hockey star Alex Galchenyuk Sr., celebrating his new deal with the Coyotes. But after one too many White Russians, Alex made the fateful decision to get behind the wheel of his white BMW. He crashed it, hitting a curb and a road sign, and that's where things took a dangerous turn. When the police arrived to arrest him, Alex's behavior became erratic and threatening. His words an unhinged outburst straight out of a scene from Scarface. He told an officer, "I'm gonna chop up your wife, daughter, and one phone call, you're all dead. Your whole family, your whole bloodline is dead." It's really hard to fathom. Was he on illegal smelling salts? Or was this really just the result of binge drinking all day? But the chaos didn't stop there. As if the crash out wasn't bad enough, Galchenyuk also reportedly hurled racial slurs at one of the officers, and boasted about his connections back in Russia. The wreckage of his career, both on the road and his personal life, was unfolding right before everyone's eyes. The following day, after being booked and released, news of Alex's arrest made waves across the hockey world, quickly becoming a top story. Just days earlier, on July 1st, he had signed a new deal with the Coyotes, holding on to hope that he might one day return to full-time NHL play. By July 9th, he was in the back of a police cruiser. On July 11th, the Coyotes severed ties with him, officially terminating his deal and ending his time with the team. It was undoubtedly one of the most embarrassing endings to an NHL career. A week later, Alex issued an apology, stating that he would be checking into the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. But by then, the damage had already been done. The third overall pick of the 2012 NHL Draft saw his once promising career come to an abrupt end. Still determined to play, however, Alex sought refuge in a place where his past behavior might be overlooked. He signed a 2-year deal with SKA St. Petersburg in the Russian KHL. There, he played 61 games in the 2024 season, recording 42 points. And after a strong performance, he opted out of his contract and signed with the new team for the 2025 season, the Amur Haverovsk. There he flourished, actually leading the team in scoring with 20 goals and 38 points in 59 games. His play was so impressive that the team rewarded him with a 2-year extension. And finally, it seemed Alex had found a new home. His first since his days in Montreal. In his 654 NHL games, Alex Galchenyuk tallied 146 goals, 208 assists, and 354 points. In 38 playoff games, he added 17 points to his resume. Sadly though, it's the way his NHL career ended. mirrored in the controversy and a series of poor decisions that most will remember. The years of mediocrity after the 2019 season and that disastrous crash out in 2023 overshadowed the once promising young talent that fans saw when he first burst onto the scene with Montreal. His story, a roller coaster of highs and lows, serves as a cautionary tale, one of what could have been. It also serves as a reminder to never take anything for granted, as it can all be lost in an instant. And that's going to do it for this video, boys. This was the story of how Alex Galchenyuk lost it all. If you've been following my channel since before I even hit 1,000 subscribers, you might remember that my very first video was actually about Alex's rise and fall. So I thought, why not revisit and remaster it for you guys? It's definitely an interesting story. Let me know your thoughts on Galchenyuk, I'd love to hear them. And as always, if there's a player or story you'd want me to cover next, drop a suggestion below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more, and I'll catch you boys in the next one.